Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Football Manager Therapy. I am, of course, your host, Tony Jameson, and joining me as always is the one and only Rich Owens. Rich, how the devil are you, buddy?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. I'm very well. Didn't even have to stop and think about that then. Just came naturally. I'm feeling good.
Oh.
I've got nothing clever to say this week, mate. I'm just genuinely really excited to have our guest on. I've got there's no silliness, no ad libs, no nothing. I'm just genuinely really excited for this record.
I'm a big fan of that, mate, because obviously no silliness, no ad libs, no second take either, more importantly. The last few episodes we've done, we've had to have retakes because we started and we rambled off and then we just went, we're doing that again. Tonight, we are nailing this in one go, right? We are back to FMT professionals and that's what we're going to try and I'm already rambling.
3 minutes.
We're keeping it in.
Gents, 3 minutes. We lasted that long.
Exactly. A little bit behind the curtain there going, are they professional? No, of course they're not professional. But no, we are welcome. We're very, very excited to have our wonderful guest this evening. Everyone, say hello to HollyyPlayys.
Hello.
I left you hanging a little bit there. How are you, Holly? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. How are you guys?
Excellent. We're very well. Thank you. It's we're very, very excited to have you on. Obviously, there's a few things that we're going to chat about. Obviously, we'll talk FM. Former Streamer Showdown champion, of course, full-time content creator, freelance journalist, also massive women's football fan. Let's just put that straight out there, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
You've had a month, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, I can't complain. I mean, no women's football fan can complain, really. I've been to, how many games? 1, 2, 4, 4 England games. I couldn't remember all of them then during the Euros. And I mean, I've got the battle scars to prove it. My leg is absolutely bruised into smithereens, but it was worth it to watch them lift the European Championship trophy on Sunday. So yeah, it's made me very excited for the women's season to start.
I was saying that is the important thing as well, because of course you were there, weren't you? We saw the pictures, we've seen the tweets, and how was it? Describe for us what it was like then being in the stadium to see that actually happen, a trophy being lifted on home turf.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I've watched this England team at the 2017 Women's Euros in Holland, the 2019 Women's World Cup in France, and then obviously, watched the 2015 run and the Team GB as well in the Olympics, and you could sense that even since 2017 things were beginning to brew and grow in this England squad. And bringing in Sarina Wiegman, I think a lot of women's football fans knew that she could potentially be the missing piece that they were looking for. So that final on Sunday, there was just so much, you could just sense the kind of magic in the air. That sounds really cliche, but that's the highest attended women's game I've ever been to. It broke records for the highest attended European Championship final, the third highest attended game in Europe across the men and the women's game. And I mean, I've never heard goals be celebrated as loudly and as chaotic as Sunday night. And the 2 goals as well were unbelievable goals. So we really, really were spoiled. The fans who have been following the game for a long time, but also the fans who were tuning in for the first time and trying to see what this England women's team were about. And yeah, topped off nicely with that trophy, I must say.
I was going to say, obviously we mentioned there about, as you say, they're just the neutrals coming in and people who maybe hadn't been exposed to women's football prior to this tournament. We've got to say, and we've said this a few times on the podcast already, and particularly on stream, wow, what a tournament. The standard was, the expectations were high anyway. Obviously, we knew what we were expecting to sort of see when it kicked off. We were thinking this is going to be great, the standard of football is going to be fantastic, and it was probably even above what my expectations were, and I thought it was going to be a good tournament anyway. But for me, I also loved seeing full stadiums or near full stadiums, big crowds, and we said before we even went on air, not just for the home nations games either. Just every match, the fans and the country just took to it and went, yes, we want a piece of this, thank you, and we're going to create a great atmosphere. And what an atmosphere it was to see.
Yeah, you're spot on. A lot of the European teams have quite the cult following in women's football. Sweden, France, Germany especially kind of top that list for having such good fans that will travel globally to watch them play. And that was present on the TV matches, or all of the matches that were on telly, sorry. And that was really great to see, because, you know, some people kind of question what stadiums were picked, but I actually kind of think they were the right fit for the games outside of the host nation. So in that aspect, it all worked perfectly, because it still felt it was on a big enough stage, on a big enough stadium, but also the right number of people could attend those games. So it was just outright phenomenal in terms of that kind of aspect. And like you said, I mean, attendances were sky high for those games as well. And that's what you want to see as a football fan of the women's game for a long period of time. You want to see those new fans come in. Like, it's a very accepting kind of community of fans. They just want more people to be involved and more people to learn about the game. And like I said, the quality has massively increased, and this was the first time for that to really be showcased since the 2017 tournament. You know, European football, especially in the women's game, is some of the highest football out there. You know, I know that when England beat Norway 8-0, some people were like, oh, 8-0, a major tournament? That's not great. But I think you could probably ask a lot of fans and they would say that was not planned, that was not expected. It wasn't that Norway were bad, it's just that England were bloody good. So if anything, be grateful that you've seen that England team play at that level and have played at that level throughout the whole tournament. So it'll be an interesting conversation this time next year when the World Cup's taken place in Australia and New Zealand, because that's been extended to 32 teams. But for this Euros, the quality was outstanding.
I think for me, it's almost kind of like a perfect storm of just circumstances all falling into the right place.
Yeah.
In terms of, for example, I mean, if you look at kind of the standard kind of footballing calendar across this summer, normally you would have had like the Men's World Cup taking place this summer. Obviously, with it happening in Qatar in the winter, you know, we've spoken about it very, very publicly on this podcast previously. We have absolutely no interest. We have no truck with this World Cup in the winter. It's no interest whatsoever. And I think for a lot of people who feel the same way, this summer it's kind of like opened up their kind of where they would look for their sport. To have a major international tournament happening, you know, especially for British football fans, to have it happening on home soil, for there to be no other competitions for it to be running alongside. And as you've both so accurately said, especially after the first week of fixtures, you realise such a high quality tournament as well. It's not like we'll watch some football for the sake of going to watch some football. You had the opportunity to watch, you know, well attended, well played, high quality games on television. You could watch that, you know, you had the opportunity to go see them live. I think it's been such a great advert for women's football, like nationally. There's people tuning into these games that may not have normally been interested in them. It's happened at the right time, and the quality has been exceptional. So for me, just what a great set of circumstances for this tournament to have happened under as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think what also probably helped a little bit was the men's team getting to the final last summer. It really put that belief back in the hearts of so many England fans. And, you know, to lose that so narrowly, you know, to then see the England women get off to such a great start in the group stage, you're like, oh, okay, hang on. This team are giving us quite a lot of belief now as well. Maybe, you know, this women's team can be the one that brings it home. And it kind of, I feel like that kind of narrative of from losing the final last year from the men's team to then finally bring it home on home soil for the women, I think that whole culmination of that narrative of bringing it home, it's coming home, and kind of that redemption arc from an England team as a whole, I think that's what kind of made it so special. And I mean, the amount of times I've heard people now say, well, now let's see the men's team bring it home from Qatar twice, you know, let's see football come home twice in 1 year, that kind of thing. You know, it's all of a sudden sparked this real excitement into the World Cup for a lot of England fans who like yourself weren't maybe looking forward to it as much, but all of a sudden, you know, you kind of want to see the women and the men succeed in the same year. That would be something pretty spectacular. And like I said, I think that's what ended up kind of bringing the whole nation together as this women's team continue to push in towards the final.
I mean, it added a huge level of pressure on the team as well. And like, I know the first match, they didn't play particularly great, it must be said. But again, you know, there's that pressure. It's you're the host nation. It's the largest women's game on English soil at that point, wasn't it? I think at Old Trafford, I think it was the largest attended match. So again, you just got to, it's group football. You just got to get out your groups and do what you got to do. And it's like, right, okay, I remember tweeting out going like, okay, that's, fine for match day one. Like, just, you got to have to play a little bit better. Like, and this is again from a Scotland fan, right? Saying, look, decent performance, but you need to step it up. Then you say there, the Norway game came in, and Norway coming in as one of the sort of favourites to do well, or at least like be in the consideration for the top sort of 4, 5, 6 positions. And I'm watching this match going, how is this 8-0? This isn't just stepping up. This is like smashing one of the best teams in the world, not even just in Europe, and going, yeah, all right, that's an improvement. Like Norway did everything wrong and England did everything right. And there was even times when Norway weren't really doing things wrong, but England just kept going. And there's that belief at that point where you go, right, okay, yeah, this is the thing now, and it's then play momentum and sort of build on that, and these individuals obviously are going to get all the praise, but it's that team, it's genuinely a team mentality, and seeing players come off the bench 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 25 minutes, they can see that determination in the players as they came out, and they weren't really fussed with that pressure which they were getting, which you would, again, when you'd argue, then the men's team tend to buckle under pressure. The women just seem to thrive under it.
Yeah, I think what's really admirable is how Serena Wiegmann said, here's all my cards. Here's my hand. It's going to be the same hand for pretty much every game. And if you want to beat us, then you just need to be better than us on the pitch. And I think that's what probably the players realised as well. And they knew that ultimately if they just played well and played the system, they would thrive and they would succeed, because that team is a great team. You've got some, European champions in there. You've got people who are competing in the Champions League consistently and also getting offers from some of the biggest teams in Europe as well. So it's just adding that belief. And I think by Serena Wiegmann keeping the same system, she gave that, the amount of confidence that Alessia Russo and Ella Toon had when they were coming off the bench. After the first couple of games, everyone was saying, why aren't you just starting them? It's like, you don't need to, because the amount of energy they bring in 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 10 minutes, it is game changing. And Serena Wiegmann knew that, and the players understood that as well. And they knew that they were good enough to make an impact if they were given 2 minutes or 20 minutes. And again, it was that confidence and that belief that created such a good team atmosphere within that team. And if you watch a lot of the stuff as well, like I know, Jill Scott, one of the oldest players in the whole tournament, you kind of knew she wouldn't get much game time, but you could tell after them winning the trophy and even during the course of the tournament, what she brought in the changing room was so key. And Serena Wiegmann understood that having a player like Jill Scott in that team was going to be more beneficial off the pitch than on the pitch. I mean, Jill Scott's become an icon, hasn't she, from swearing at players and getting reverent to, like, she's so brilliant. Like she's so valuable for so many different reasons. And again, it was just this wider picture of what England's squad needed to be, and that's what won them that trophy. And again, even little things like, I say little things, finding that transition to a new captain, to Leah Williamson, having that new fresh leadership. It's the same like when you get a new manager in, isn't it, really? You get that new fresh leadership and there's a new drive and a new passion. And I think it all just happened at the right time for England, and that's what helped push them through to this win. And that was what was so heartwarming. Like, I sobbed for like a good 10 minutes. And my friend Louise is stood next to me. She's Kiwi. Like she really fell in love with this England team as well. But she's just kind of stood there patting me on the shoulder, being like, there. I'm just sobbing because you could just see how much it meant to this England team, and how much it meant to so many people watching it. That honestly will stay in my brain for a very, very long time.
And I think that's such a lovely part of it as well. In as much as it's what that victory meant to those players, like you say, from early doors, and like you say, the way it was put to people was like, this is how we're going to set up, this is how we're going to play. It's not that the teams that beat us, it's not that you're going to win the tactical battle. It's not going to be little bits and pieces here and there. It's not going to be little battles on the pitch. It's not going to be this. To beat this England team, you have to be better than us. And I love that. And the fact that you're playing on home soil in a major international tournament, and you've won the entire thing, and it's not because you got lucky here or there. You didn't win the odd tactical battle. You got to that. You put yourselves in that position. You won that tournament by being the best, and that, I think, to me, if I was in that would mean so much more to me than if it was, you could say, well, the way they set up against this team, they played very defensively, and the way they set up against this team, they tried to nullify. So no, they went out, they played the football they wanted to play, they played the system they knew they're going to excel in, and they were better than everybody else. And that, to me, is so much more of a fulfilling victory than anything else. So I rate that very, very highly.
Yeah, hence the tears, hence the relief when that full-time whistle blew. I just cannot. No amount of words will describe that feeling that I felt. It was such a mixture of relief and excitement and just, I don't know. It humbled me seeing that team win because, like I said, so many amazing people. You've got the likes of Rachel Daly, who plays as an attacking player for Houston Dash at club level, but then thrives at left back and is such an influential player in that starting 11. You've got Leah Williamson, who normally plays as a defensive midfielder for Arsenal, plays centre back for England. Lucy Bronze is 30. Yeah, she's one of the most athletic players of this generation. It is baffling that she could run and do so much and be relied upon for all that amount of time. When I'm 30, I will be in a rocking chair. She is Lucy Bronze is unbelievable. Kira Walsh finally getting the recognition she deserves. She's been one of my favourite England players for such a long time, and in that system she was able to thrive. And also just youth coming through at the right time. Alessia Russo, Ella Toon, Lauren Hemp, Chloe Kelly. Chloe Kelly 10 months ago had suffered a serious ACL injury, and she's just scored the winning goal in a European Championship. It literally was like every single piece of a jigsaw puzzle came in and just went boom in perfectly, and somehow we've got away with it with how lucky that all those elements have come together at the perfect time. And again, that's what made that win so special.
It is interesting as well. You said about all those pieces. Timing is of course the key thing, because leading up the tournament, you lose Steph Orton, who usually on paper you'd be sitting going, what do we do? And it's almost now going, well, where would she even fit in this squad? You're sort of going oh, yeah, we don't really need her. But a couple of tournaments ago, you would be saying we have to find a way to get her back somehow, and there's no one to fulfill that role. And it is just testament, as you say, to players being able to move into the right positions, a bit of youth coming through, and just that belief in go out and do it. Just, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're good at doing. Just do that, and that unwavering belief in the coach and the manager to go, yeah, all right, cool. We'll run through walls for you. And you could sense that. Absolutely sense that.
Yeah. In the nicest way possible. Some of the managerial choices that England have had prior to Wiegman weren't the best, haven't been the best. And I think a lot of fans will be honest and say that. So when it was announced that Serena Wiegman would be coming in after her stint with the Holland national team, I was so excited because she does not mess around. That's 2 tournaments. That's 12 games now, or 7 or 14 games, and she's not lost one with 2 different nations. Name someone else that has got that kind of record, because I don't think that list is going to be long in any women's or men's. So having a manager like that, you could tell was game changing for the England team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that I've really enjoyed, we mentioned it a little bit before about the fans and stuff, and being in different cities and experience that. Rich, Sheffield hosted a game from your perspective, the wrong stadium hosted a game, understandably. but what was it like? Was there, because I knew a few people who went down to Sheffield for that. I know that Rotherham hosted matches as well. What did it feel like hosting as being a host city? I know you're a bit different. You're a bit further down the road now, but do you sort of have any connections up there with family or stuff, or anyone or friends, or who's could sort of see what was going on?
Nobody based in the city. I know people who travelled up for some of the games, but I think any time, and again, I think your geographical location compared to the team that you support, it's for me finding out that even the city. And like you say, not necessarily the right stadium, but even the city that the club that you support are based in, if they're picked to host games at a major international tournament like this, there is a sense of pride there, and there is a sense of excitement. So I think, and the people that I know that went up there for the games had nothing but good things to say about their experience. And I think that's true across the board for anybody. Earlier this afternoon, I bumped into a comic that I know called Lynn Smith. Shout out Lynn Smith. Lynn's brilliant. We were gigging together on Sunday night, and she was really upset because she wanted to be watching the final. She's watched every game in the tournament so far with England, and she's massively invested in this England team. As somebody who spent a lot of time around the games, she can't speak highly enough of the environment, based at the games, at the stadiums themselves, within the stadiums, even in pubs and places where she wanted to go and watch the football if she couldn't make it to the games. Like, she had nothing but positive things to say about that environment that's been created by the fans. It's been quite spectacular. I think everybody's just, it feels like the vast majority of the country latched onto this very, very quickly. And, we're just, and in the right way as well. I think the vast majority of football fans who have been invested and involved in this, watching this tournament, have done so in, again, exactly the right way. Just adding to that wonderful advert for the women's game that we've just seen for the last month. So that in and of itself has been fantastic.
Well, I suppose the next point then, based on that, is obviously everyone getting involved and loving what they saw is going to be what happens next. And of course, we now need a legacy off the back of it. We'll mention that L word that everyone likes to talk about. Again, I mean, look, I've said, I'm a Scotland fan. For me, and I've said this to many, many people, for me, it didn't matter that England won as a Scotland fan. It didn't matter, right, that England won. Because you know what? It was amazing. They were the best team. They played the best football. Women won the tournament. Right? It genuinely didn't matter who won. Women won because everyone was invested in there. You could see kids, women, girls, men, all inspired to do something. Like, I've had friends, when I'm 42, I've had friends who couldn't play football at school and couldn't play football until they went to university. Like, I have boys, like young boys. I have friends who have young daughters. They have now, the responsibility for me falls upon every single school, local authority, funding organization, local FA, whatever. If there's a school come September, and I'm aware this podcast is coming out at the end of August, if there's a school in September that does not offer football for young girls in September, what are you doing? How have you missed this boat? Like, it can't be. Like, everyone is on board with it. You've got to now say, right, there's the demand, make it happen.
Yeah, you're spot on. I think, I don't know if you have seen, but the Lionesses, the England team, have put a letter to whoever the future Prime Minister is going to be next month, requesting that football is accessible in all schools, or basically anywhere that the government can influence it. Have football there for girls, have it there for all ages, because even if it's in some schools, it's limited to an age limit, or it's a small age group that are allowed access. It needs to be done 100%. Ultimately, yes, so many fans have said, well, the women's game now is just going to grow exponentially because of this. I want that to happen just as much as the next fan. Do not get me wrong. However, it all comes down to finance. Everything comes down to finance. If there's not enough sponsorship, if there's not enough funding from the governments, from county FAs, from just businesses who want to invest in the game, that is what will slow the progress down. The financial figures behind the TV deal currently that is owned by Sky for the Women's Super League, I think a lot of people would be surprised at how low that number is for a 5-year deal or a 3-year deal. That has to increase. That has to be better to provide players better salaries, clubs more money for coaching staff, for goalkeeper coaches, for the correct physios, for the right equipment. And that has to then go all the way down the pyramid into schools, like you said, through to county FAs. So there needs to be that same investment. And hopefully companies have realised it's worth investing in after that tournament and go, yeah, here's our money. Help change the game. Let us be part of the change. That's what's needed. So I'm really hoping that that's what we'll see between now and the start of the season, and then continuing on through the rest of the first season post-Euros.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. This is the thing as well. And I fully support the fact there are going to be a lot of people out there saying, right, I really hope that this is the start of the boom of women's football in England, in the United Kingdom, and rightly so, it should be. But as you say, these things just aren't going to organically happen by themselves. It's going to take a level of investment from, all the way down the pyramid. To the point where if you're in a position, like if you're a small business owner, if you're looking to sponsor a football team, if you're into coaching, if you want to go down and lend a few hours of your time to like your local women's setup, get out there, like go out there and do something and be an active part of the change that you want to see in the shift in dynamic in football in England, especially at that level as well. If you've got a couple of hours a week you can give to, helping young female footballers, please absolutely do. Like I'm taking my son to a sports day tomorrow. It's a free funded one. They do them around here kind of every month or so. They just put out a load of sporting equipment. You get to go play. And just to redeem him from his supporting Man City story, he wants to go play football with me tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. And one of the last things he said to me tonight was, will their girls be playing football as well? And I said yes, and he said good. He's really, really excited to go play football with everybody just because he loves football. But invest your time. If you're in a position to help, because that support, even at a grassroots level, even at an amateur grassroots level, is going to be so massively appreciated that it's fully worth your time and investment to be able to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, again, for balance, I know there'll be people listening to this podcast going, oh, but the grassroots are underfunded anyway, as it is. And yeah, we get that. It is. It absolutely is. But you know what? That doesn't mean that we shouldn't invest in women's football at the same time. Like, we've got to spread that money further now. Like, yeah, you have this pot of money and you can't spend it all. But you know what? You've now got to spend it on more things. So you're probably going to get less, but it has to go. It has to. Like, you can't be in a position where you've got young girls, young women, older women who want to play football now. Like, anybody, like, walking football's a thing. Like, you can have any age. People shouldn't be, it's 2022, people shouldn't have a barrier to playing football, to physical exercise, we've been in lockdown for 2 years, just about. Like, people need sport, interaction, physical, mental health. It's all there. Like, where you've got a local Sunday league pitches, sorry, you're gonna have to tidy them up now, right? You're gonna have to sort those change rooms out. Local leisure centres, you got a 5-a-side pitch, great. Book out 4. Make sure there's at least 1 for the women as well, please, if you've got 5. Like, it's just common sense. And to see Alex Scott calling companies out, calling football clubs out for not helping when she was having to try and strong arm to get money out of these people who didn't see the bigger picture. I mean, like, fair play for her for doing it for the first thing. Her and Ian Wright were amazing on the broadcast, and have hit the nail on every single head that has been lined up for them. It's just great because you can sense the passion coming through that, right, this is the pinnacle right now. If you want it to fizzle out and never happen again, fine. But if you want to see it again, you know what you need to do.
You're so spot on. The thing is, for me, is people at any stage can be part of this change and part of this new narrative, whether that's by volunteering for free or providing financial aid, buying a bag of balls for the local team around the corner that plays on a Sunday. There is no part of the scale of women's football, no part of the pyramid that doesn't need help. You've got players playing in the WSL signing their first professional contracts for £20,000 a year. You have got 18-year-olds in the Premier League signing, $50K a week? And obviously, again, that's because there's more money in the men's game, there's more sponsorship, there's more everything in the men's game. But that level is never going to be achieved in the women's game unless there's more finance, unless there's more fans going to games, unless there's more, TV sponsorship deals, whatever, like everything. And that, again, all goes all the way down to the pyramid of the rest women's teams that won't even be booked out pitches because they're just lower down on the priority list. When under 11 boys are being played over an under 16 girls team, like you said, Tony, have some common sense. Like, think about the wider picture. You've got walking football, you've got futsal, you've got so many different types of disability football, from wheelchair to cerebral palsy to blind. Football is a team sport that is accessible to all, and that should be the case no matter who you are or where you are in the country. And again, it comes down to people coming together. Football is one of the best team sports for helping children grow in confidence, make friends, all of that kind of stuff. It's worth playing, even if you have a child does it for a year and goes, oh, I want to try out dance or netball or hockey or rugby. Like, football is a great sport to trial and see how it develops that child, because in my mind, it can never create a negative experience for anyone at any age.
Absolutely. And this is one of the other things that I'm looking forward to as well. Obviously I've got my son. I've also got a 4-year-old daughter. And this is, I would love if she has and gets the level of enjoyment from football that I get, or even to the level that my son gets. I would absolutely love that, for that to be a reality for her. She starts school properly in September. When she starts school, I want her to have the opportunity to get involved. And if she wants to play football, I want her to have the opportunity to play football. Like you say, it's that grassroots level. It's that level. It's the accessibility to it early doors. There's absolutely no reason that football shouldn't. Like I say, it's a wonderful team building. It's a team building sport. As I say, so beneficial to the way that young people's minds are formed. In those formative years, that kind of experiences, they could only have a positive outcome. So if those kind of things aren't readily available to kids now, then something seriously needs to be done about that, because to my mind, there's no viable reason it shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, like, even like the social skills, the developmental skills, team building skills, communication, leadership, discipline, it's all skills for life. The other thing, as you say, do it for a year. If you don't find it, then fine, go take those skills elsewhere, develop them into something else. I mean, what I think I enjoyed the most about watching the tournament was, and again, I've been very open. Rich has mentioned about the World Cup. We've got our views about the World Cup. I've got my own views, and Rich has very similar views about the Premier League and the amount of money and where it comes from in the Premier League. And it was just nice to watch football played by people who had smiles on their faces. They were out having fun. You could tell it wasn't money driven. It wasn't, we have the best facilities, therefore it's blah, 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 blah. We're going to do it this way. It was people out there playing because they wanted to play, because they cared, because, as you've just said there, their annual salary is potentially not much more than being manager of a fast food restaurant, and you've just won the European Championships. Like, let's put some context here. We play FM. Second yellow card summed this up beautifully, right? He said playing FM is like what football should be. It's that magic, because anything can happen. It's not ran by money. It's not ran by evil. There's no corporations or politics or whatever in it. It's just, we create this universe in our heads. Watching the women's football, without being over dramatic on it, felt very much the same. It felt pure. It felt, this is just football. And that's what football should be. So much fun to watch.
Couldn't agree with you more. You just said that perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, watching a lot of this tournament made me feel the same way. I haven't felt the same way about real football in a very long time. But I think this tournament, and again, I think that could well account for a large amount of the kind of the popularity of the tournament on the whole, is that people are watching it. And like I say, it's not money driven, it's not sponsorship driven. It's people coming together and playing football for the love of playing football. And to do it on a national scale like that, to do it like that's going to go a very, very long way. And I really hope that this tournament and the success that it's brought and the level of investment that it's brought, I really hope a lot of people, I really hope it gives them a new perspective on what football should and also can be.
Welcome to women's football.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome.
Yeah.
It's nice over here. It's nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had Tina Keach on when SI first announced that they were going to start putting women's football into the game, so we got her on as well. So we've been following women's football pre-tournament anyway, and you're right, it is lovely over here, isn't it? Pull up a chair. It's really lovely.
crack open a cold one, you're good to go. It's great.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're all on board for that. So, right, let's make sure that this happens, and let's help drive the change. And as I say, glass ceilings have already been broken, so let's see where we go going forward. We will talk a little bit of Football Manager just to make sure that we are in the right category, just for another week. I mean, the second yellow card episode, we really had to crowbar Football Manager in on that one. There was a lot of talk about bears. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Shout out to Steve Hood, by the way, who gave us a lovely bit of feedback on that, saying that he nearly crashed his car 3 times listening to it. So, for fun, it was funny, not just like he's had enough.
It wasn't out of anger. Where's
the Football Manager?
Yeah, exactly. Going, there's not enough in for my liking. He was a fan. We'll talk Football Manager because, of course, that's your thing, isn't it? This is your full-time creator now. Burst onto the scene so much so that you just went and won a Streamer Showdown. Because why not? It's all about glass ceilings, don't we? Yeah. First female streamer in there, and the first female streamer to win. So,
God, come out in style, why don't I? I mean, I've not messed around. It was. Could I have predicted it? Absolutely not. Quite a few people who watch my streams know I started streaming Football Manager because I'd been asked to write about a piece for it when I was working at The Athletic, and I genuinely thought I will play it for this piece, and then I will not touch it again. Because I didn't want my love for video games to mix with football. I wanted to keep the two worlds separate, working in football and then video games as kind of like a hobby. And I just got sucked in so badly. It was freakishly unhealthy how quickly I became obsessed with this game. And we're 10 months in now, I think, since I started my first ever save. And yeah, I've loved every moment of it. I mean, the growth of like my Twitch channel as well has blown my mind. I think I hit 500 followers after streaming in my own time for a year, and then started playing FM. And I thought, oh yeah, let's maybe go for like 3K by the end of 2022. Now I just have stopped setting little goals for myself because there's just no point. Because I don't understand how nice this community is in terms of how welcoming it's been as a female. I hadn't seen any females streaming FM prior to me starting. I'm not saying that means I've paved the way. Just I hadn't. That's how few there were. So to kind of help be part of that change, I guess, is probably what I should say now, even though I still don't really feel like I've been a big influential person in that, is really sweet and really nice because, like we said, glass ceilings are there to be broken and everyone should be able to do whatever they want, really, within reason, as long as you're not breaking the law. And so why can't a female play FM and stream FM and be good at it? Because I'd like to think I know an okay amount about football, so, it's just been the nicest addition to my life ever, really, playing Football Manager.
100%, mate. And don't do yourself such a disservice in terms of, your importance to, the community. I think we've recently had conversations. We've chatted to Alice. We've chatted to Stacey as well. I think in both conversations, your names come up both times. Because I think, especially winning something like the Streamer Showdown. We've had a lot of conversations on this podcast before about diversity, about inclusivity. To be the first ever female contestant to then win on their debut, absolute scenes, by the way, absolute scenes.
It blows my mind.
Like, it was incredible, absolutely incredible. I was having a little lurk in your stream that night, and it was just an absolute joy. Just watching the reaction from people in your chat, just what the overall reaction from people in the community, and then like the way that as I say, the inspiration that you've had on other female streamers, mate, do not do yourself a disservice, because I think what you've done in a comparatively short amount of time as well, like is incredible, absolutely incredible. I would like
thank you.
If there was somebody who was sat there, and it's exactly the same as women's football in the real world, if somebody was sat there thinking maybe I'd like to give this a go, and then something like England, the Lionesses winning the Euros is going to be the catalyst for them wanting to go out and play the game in real life. If you've got a female, somebody who sat there thinking, I might want to stream a game like FM, I'm aware that it's predominantly, it's me, it's dudes with beers and glasses. like to have somebody like you come onto the scene and first of all, just make great content, make really, really wonderful, engaging content. And then to also win a competition of that level as well. Like, don't you dare talk yourself out of that conversation in terms of inspiration, man. Like, incredible stuff, absolutely incredible stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm slowly starting to pat myself on the back a little bit for things. I think it's a little bit like a bad habit, I guess, because there wasn't that many females for me in any area of football that I could really look up to, other than, like, you know, the likes of Kelly Smith when she was playing, and then, you know, you've had Claire Balding, Gabby Logan kind of pave the way from a presenter point of view, a journalist point of view. So to then be kind of one of those people for Football Manager, kind of helping, I guess, hopefully inspiring other females to stream or just play the game is honestly one of, like, the biggest, probably most rewarding aspects. You know, the main reason I stream is, one, to keep myself sane. So I'm, like, you know, chatting to people a little bit, working from home a lot. You know, it kind of, you still get that weird kind of interaction with people, even though it is over screens. But also to be there to support people. You know, and every now and then I get that reminder of how important my stream or other people's streams are, or how important a community is. And I've never had that before playing any form of video games or streaming up until Football Manager. So, like I said, I feel very lucky to have accidentally stumbled across it, and then also play in the Showdown and make so many good friends like Ben and Jack and Zealand and I mean, just so many people, Mike, Viking Dan, Tom, FM, like, there's just so many people that I've already had the pleasure of interacting with, and there's also such a long list of people that I haven't had the pleasure of interacting with much yet, that I really want to get through. You know, the FM playoffs coming up very soon. I just can't wait to beat more people, you know, and you know, win another tournament. That's what's great. I can't wait.
You might as well. That shelf only seems to have one trophy on it. Where's all the others? Come on.
Yeah, I need a bigger shelf, to be honest, before I start doing that. But yeah, I mean, I was even happy just to end up bouncing back and make the final, and then losing to Jack, like, just to kind of even redeem myself. Like, my goal for that first ever one was just don't be first out. Don't give those stereotypical cliche people the reason to say this is why women don't play. That's what I was so worried about. That's what I was bricking it for. So to then actually just win it. I mean, yes, some people are saying there's an asterisk there because the RNG gods were massively in my favour. Yes, there was El Crashico against Zealand when just for some reason everything died. But I mean, I wasn't pulling out any keyboards or any Ethernet cables or anything like that. Everything just happened, and I was I don't even know how to explain how terrified I was at that given moment, but I mean, I'll take the win. I will take it nonetheless. So yeah,
play where it lies. You know what I mean? That's the thing, isn't it? Like, that's what happens. And you know, we say there about the you know, the Lionesses victory and the celebrations being absolutely pure. Again, that was your celebration. Like, when it dawned on you that you'd done it, that reaction, like, you can't fake that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that was on your face at that moment was very much a fuck, I've done it. Like, I've genuinely, like, I had
to hold back a lot of swear words.
I've won. Like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, all right. I've shown everyone, because you're right. I mean, again, like, you know, we talk openly about, you know, as Rich says, you know, representation, diversity, my poor PvP record, right? They're all things that we talk about a lot. I've been in that situation where you lose 6 out of 6, right? And it is brutal.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're right. To go in there, Ben's always made the point of saying, you know, that he wanted diversity on the Showdown. He wanted people there for the right reasons to be there, because they've earned the chance to be there. He didn't want people to be in a situation where, in the event of being 0-6, like, having people pile on or whatever. And you know what? You just went, we're not going to do that. We've got a different plan, right? And that's great. And I genuinely love that. And in terms of the community, you know, you're right. The number of female and trans and LGBTQA streamers, you know, comparatively compared to, as Rich says, you know, bearded white guys with glasses, is low, but it's growing, right? How have you found? You sort of almost answered a little bit in the question, really, like, how you found the community in terms of you joining and being part of that and being that positive influence to help, as you said, to hopefully inspire more people to come and join and sort of take up the mantle, you know, and get more female streamers actively involved in the FM community.
Yeah, it's a really good question. My experience has been, you know, I'd say 95% positive. I find it slightly weird when people come into my chat and it tells me that they're a first-time chatter and the first thing they're saying is, "Oh, a female playing, how wonderful." You don't need to tell me that you think that's wonderful. Just sit and watch. I don't need to know that you're surprised that a female's watching. Technically, you shouldn't be, but that's fine. Whatever, it's small scale. It's people like Summer and Abby and Alice who inspire me, because they've played the game for longer than me, and then to finally say, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to come on and I'm going to stream and I'm going to show off my knowledge. I had no knowledge. I just came on and was like, this is how I'm going to learn the game. They're coming in and saying, I've got X number of years of experience. Here's all my knowledge. And I think that's a better to take than me, because I've not almost got, any kind of expectation on how well I should or shouldn't do. I wouldn't be able to be as successful with Wrexham like Alice has been, for example. Like, there's no way, absolutely not. I'd have bottled everything. So those people, I think, are way more inspiring than me. I think I've just got very fortunate that, I made friends with some really good people who helped guide me a little bit, Ben and Jack, with how my stream should look and how I should interact with people. I've had so much advice from those kind of people and other various people as well. Also, just being a long-term Twitch fan probably helped me. I've watched Twitch for like 10, 12 years now. So I think through all of that, like all of those things, it's made my experience, like I said, 95%, like, could not fault it. And I just feel very, very lucky for that. And I hope that, like, I can help make that just as successful for any other females, whether that's just playing the game or streaming as well. For me, there should be kind of no barrier for anyone playing, and Diz is a great example as well for, help pioneering for a minority. There's so many people that are doing such amazing work, and transitioning to full-time content as well. There's so many more people on that list, and that's what's so exciting. And, I remember when Ben said to me, I was on a Discord and chatting with Ben like every night before I was even anywhere close to being involved in the showdown. He said, if I'm honest, like, I want you in when you're ready, but I don't think that's going to be for a while. And then I think 3 weeks later of me streaming a lot and playing the game a lot, he was like, let's get you in. And I was like, okay, let's not tell Jack though. If you're certain, let's not tell Jack. And it was Ben's confidence in getting me in quicker, way ahead of schedule, that gave me the confidence to know that I was learning a lot and developing a lot in the community and kind of just as a person. I think no matter how old you are, you can always develop as a person and grow as a person. And then kind of that excitement from Jack and from the community to be the first female, that gave me my confidence. That helped me grow. Before FM, I wouldn't say I was really that fun of a streamer. Whereas now I've worn a sumo suit on stream. I've covered myself in confetti. Like, I've done just about any ridiculous thing. I think my clip on Twitter of me saying that I'm better with 10 men has got like 20,000 views or something ridiculous. Like, I would never have said something like that on stream before. Whereas, obviously it's said tongue in cheek, but like, it's just, I've just been able to be myself. And that is the most important thing. And that's also like the biggest piece of advice I can give everyone, is that you should just be yourself. Don't listen to what anyone else says, because their opinion doesn't matter. What matters is your opinion and how you see yourself. And I would not have seen myself in such a positive manner if it hadn't been for Football Manager and its community.
It is such a wonderful community. It's brilliant. We've talked about this before. I've talked about this before many times on the pod. Like, you can't speak highly enough of it. Everybody's so supportive, and like you say, having like your peers, like, offering you advice and giving you positive feedback. Like, there's just no end. Like, the amount of it makes you feel incredible. Like, I'd never say this in front of him, but there's been times where I've had messages from Tony, and like, positive messages, and you're like, this is lovely, this is so nice. But I'd never tell him. I'd never tell him that. I'd absolutely, like, post streams, like, you're a month or two in, and you're getting like feedback from somebody that you value their opinion, and it's positive. You're like, God, this feels amazing. And I can't think of a single other community where you would have, like, higher profile streamers and creators who would take that time to offer you that level of support and feedback. I physically can't think of one. And if there is one out there, please feel free to let us know, because, like, we would like to publicly talk about other great communities. But like, FM, it's up there, man. It's absolutely up there in terms of that support network and that level of friendliness with everybody. Everybody's great. I've not had the misfortune of interacting with anybody really unpleasant yet, and it's a shame that, given, it is a shame that you're, like, say, 95% of your chat is great when there's that 5% of people like, oh, it's a female playing Football Manager. How exciting. No, get in the bin. Get in the absolute bin. If you're one of those people who's watching this podcast now and you feel that way about female creators and Football Manager, have a word with yourself.
Come and have a word with me, honestly.
Come on. Just
pause
this now. Pause this now. Go look at yourself in the mirror and go, come on, mate, you're better than this, because you probably are. It's not something to be marveled at. It's just something to be like, good content is good content. It doesn't matter who's making it, man. Sort your life out.
Yeah, no, I've got to agree. To be honest. And like you said there about a community, we've spoken about the community feeling like it's in a good place right now. Ben is probably in a better position to confirm that. Jack's maybe in a better position to confirm that. The people who've been there the longest will know the cycles that the community's been through, when it's been great and then it's been toxic and then it's got better. And I think we all feel like it's on an incline now, and it's certainly improving, and everyone's wanting to level up essentially. And the only industry I can compare it to, Richard said they're trying to work out another community of where would you see experienced heads talking to newbies and going, you need to do X, Y, and Z. The only other community I've dealt with that sort of environment is comedy, and it's very rare that you'll get that happen. You'll get some great acts, top acts, who will spot a bit of talent when you're young, and they'll be like, right, look, this is what you need to do to push on. They'll give you the experience, they'll give you contacts or whatever to approach and say, look, tell this person I've recommended, I think you're decent, you've got something, you'll get there. But that doesn't always happen, because those people know that eventually you're gunning for their spot, right? So there's that element of competitiveness here. I've not experienced, and again, I've come into Twitch in a different way to Rich, and a different way to yourself as well, Holly. Like, I came with, quote unquote, a bit of a following. People knew who I was when I switched the camera on, so I didn't start on zero. So I've not had to have that scrap and battle from day one to get like the 1 view stream, the 0 view stream. Like, but I've been fortunate enough that the people, the big, the Jacks, the Bens, the Zealands, Lujo, like being like, look, you might want to just, that camera's the wrong angle, or Nerdphonic, like being in a Discord call for 7 hours over 2 evenings going, why is your audio not on different channels? Like, let's split that for you, and I'll make you some custom alerts and stuff. And I'm like, you don't need to do this. And they're like, no, we do, because if your stream's better, everyone else's stream gets better, and more people watch the content, and the community looks better. I'm like, but wow, people genuinely want to help. This is lovely. It was really disarming at first. I'm like, people want this to be good, do they? Like, okay, well, fine, we can make this good if we have to. All right, fine, I'll do that. Just you wait. And then realize that, there's just no ulterior motive. It's genuinely been lovely.
I thought everyone was flirting with me, to be honest. Honestly, I just thought
I thought the same, but I was wrong.
I'm messing.
Yeah. Every DM I get, every message on Discord, I'm like, oh, here they are, another one. But no, it's just
Mr. Diz, calm yourself down.
Honestly, fellow Brummy, honestly, what a guy.
Still got it for my job, Diz. I'll have you know. I'm still here.
Well, yeah, you're still here, still. But this is the thing. Like, and again, like getting guests on to the pod's been great as well, and talking about people's experiences and sharing that, and sort of like, because of course we can only always discuss our experience of the community and our experience of football and everything like that. So it is nice to sort of find out what people are thinking and how they get on, and of course if they've had different experiences to ours, then obviously raise that and highlight it essentially. I almost feel obliged to talk real football at this sense. Real. I'm going to put real football in quotation marks, because I know we spoke about real football at the start, proper football at the start, right? I'm going to put quote unquote real football, the Premier League, right? The team that you support that I no longer support. We'll talk Aston Villa for a wee bit, just to round off before we talk a little bit of save chat. How are you feeling going into the season? We had a little chat off camera. I explained my sort of views with the current regime and stuff, and you were like, what do you mean, Villa? I'm like, we'll talk about this later. Right. How do you feel going into the season? What's your expectations of things down the road there?
I feel probably the most optimistic about a season I've felt in 4 or 5 years, I would say. As I said to you before we started recording, I think what's great is how when we had Dean Smith in, he was Villa driven, a Villa fan, and that's what drove him to want to do the best. With Steven Gerrard, he is Premier League driven. He wants to succeed in the Premier League, in the league that he's played in, the league that's helped, you know, create his brand. And so you can sense how driven he is in wanting to do well in his first full season in charge, and that's reflected by, one, how early he's brought in key signings. We needed a new centre back who was top 7 material, so Diego Carlos coming in is a really good signing. Chris Kamara coming
Chris
in. What a signing that is!
Incredible.
I don't know why I instinctively went Chris Kamara. I just love the man, really. Kamara coming in as a defensive midfielder in a position that Villa have needed to bolster for quite some time is huge. I know how some people are very hesitant to see how Coutinho do, and I will agree. However, I think the fact that they could do Coutinho on such good business and lower his wage for the upcoming season compared to what he was being paid at Barcelona, I think is actually really clever. Also, if you look at the outgoings, you know, obviously losing a youth player like Carney Chukwuemeka isn't great because you want to develop youth and play youth. But ultimately, I think, you know, a lot of stuff went on behind the scenes to kind of end up with him leaving. But I think I saw a tweet about it. I think Villa's net spend for the summer actually ends up being less than 10 million. Based off the outgoings and the incoming and the players coming in, which I think, if you think about the players we've signed, is crazy good. It's really good business, and I think Gerrard's been at the real forefront of that. And then obviously having an undefeated preseason as well, you can't really complain about that, can you, when you're heading into a season? So I'm very, very excited. I think new captain John McGinn as well could be kind of like that fresh little thing that Villa are looking for. I think Tom Rings is still great and will play an influential role, but I just think sometimes a new voice is always good. So I'm very, very excited. And hopefully, like players like Leon Bailey will be back and firing a lot better. And hopefully, you know, one of Villa's record signings, Buendia, will be utilised more, I guess, prior to what he was before. So, I mean, there's an endless list of options for Steven Gerrard and Aston Villa in terms of what their starting 11 could look like. So I'm worryingly optimistic, I think, but that's fine. So I'll take 7th, you know, why not?
I think that is the key word for any Villa fan, is to start anything with the word worryingly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on brand. It's on brand for Villa fans. But yeah, no, I'm very excited. You know, luckily now I'll be able to get to more games this season. Same for the women's team. I'm so keen to watch more football and go to Villa Park. I haven't been to Villa Park in maybe nearly 4 years now because of living overseas and then living in London. So I'm so excited to go home and watch the mighty claret and blue. Yeah. Like most fans, it's like football's almost back. So that now that it's almost back, it's all you can think about. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, just chomping at the bit to get back through the turnstiles and get you cheering on. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. A few beers, falling down a few seats. Sounds great. Honestly, love a live football game.
Sounds all right. To be honest. Yeah. You know what? I think this has been a lot of fun. Like a great conversation. Genuinely, we were looking forward to getting you on, and obviously to sort of tie everything in with the end of the women's tournament was fantastic. And obviously, hopefully, as I say, if anyone is listening to this and has been inspired to start following the women's game a little bit more, then I think there's certainly a lot of threads going around on Twitter at the minute from female journalists, female football fans, female football correspondents saying, look, you know, these are your local teams. Just Google it. There's clearly going to be a lot more interest now in terms of women's football and opportunity and teams to go and watch, and obviously then try and catch WSL, catch German football, the Spanish football as well is really good quality. Scandinavia, of course, have fantastic stuff. So yeah, go and do your research and find as much as you can. I think, is that right? Would that be the message that we take away from this?
100%. It's definitely worth watching and definitely worth investing in. I think you'd be surprised at how many women's teams don't actually play at the home ground of men's teams, so they might also be closer to you than you realise. So it's definitely worth doing your research into the WSL and Championship teams, because they might quite literally be on your doorstep without you even realising. So definitely, even if it's just one game, or if you've got a family and you've realised how positive the environment was at these European Championship games, it's the same environment at league games as well. So it's definitely worth going and having a little day out.
Absolutely. That sounds good to us. Right. So we are going to do a bit of plugging now, Holly. Let us know where people can find you. Where can we find you on Twitch, Twitter, anywhere else that you might be promoting your work, where can people find you?
Yeah, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/HollyyPlayys, 2 Y's in Holly, 2 Y's in plays, because I'm cool. I've just started streaming a new save. It's my first European save. We're with Utrecht, so that's just got underway. So if you're interested in watching a new save and someone learn about a European save, check me out. Just come say hi, talk about women's football or whatever, whatever floats your boat. And then on Twitter, my handle is Holly Percival, something like that. You'll find me. I'm verified, so it'll be me. I promise it'll be me. And then Instagram, if you want to see a bit more of like my kind of social life where I am and stuff, I have Instagram, and that's also Holly Percival XO.
Awesome, lovely stuff. Fantastic. Absolute pleasure having you on, Holly. Genuinely enjoyed it. Rich, where can people find yourself?
At Rich Owens FM on Twitter and twitch.tv/Rich Owens FM for the streaming. Don't shake your head. That was good. Good.
It was the fact you for a second you had to think of your name. That's the problem.
I did.
Well, do you know what? I was just more in shock that I was sat here with somebody who's plugging their Twitch, and there are multiple letters in their names, and Tony's just sat there silently. The bullying that I get on this podcast.
I'm the guest. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's a very valid point. That's Holly. You can do whatever you want, mate. Tony, be better. Follow me on all things. The tweets are spicy. The content is really good. So come hang out. We have a nice time.
Got to agree with that. And we'll do a final thing. I'm obviously Tony Jameson on Twitter and Tony Jameson FM on Twitch. We will, of course, also plug FMT Live. We are live for one night only at the Nottingham Canal House. We're part of the Nottingham Comedy Festival. Believe it, comedy with this. We've managed to blag ourselves into the comedy listings. So for one night only, we are at the Canal House in Nottingham. It's going to be brilliant. And we genuinely have already had people buy tickets, which we're amazed at. We thought this was going to be a terrible mistake. And it's now going to be a terrible mistake with people there to witness it. So we're very excited about that. So we'll put a link to the tickets in the description below. It's £5. We've genuinely, on stream, started plugging the guest list of people who are turning up. So these are the people in the audience you might be able to meet, include potentially Mozza. Ooh, mad scientist is flying in from Denmark. Seriously,
commitment.
So he's called Mad for a reason, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to come and hang out with us for an hour, we're going to do the show. Then we'll have a few drinks downstairs because the bar's fantastic as well. They do cracker nails, whiskies, all that sort of stuff as well. Soft drinks as well, very nice. So we'll have a bit of an FM meetup. So if anyone fancies that, like I say, the link is in the description. And we'll, of course, potentially broadcast it via Patreon, which is patreon.com/FMT pod. You know what? I've loved this. I've genuinely loved this episode. And Holly, thank you so much for coming on. Like I say, hopefully people have been inspired to sort of check out some more women's football going forward. And of course, your content and your stream. We hope you've all enjoyed this as well. We hope you stay safe. We hope we see you soon on another episode of Football Manager Therapy.